Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man Network Transmission. In the last part, we took care of Gutsman after he got infected with whatever's going around with the bad vaccine. And between parts, I did grind up to get a good amount of Guts punches, but especially maxing out his Gutsman Navi chip because that's a mainstay for me throughout the entire game, more or less. And now we have access to 4 distinct stages you can access in any order. I feel like difficulty-wise, you're sort of meant to go to Yai's Garden first. But I'm coming over here to Higsby's because I want to grab some Elec Blades because I'm going after the Waterworks first. The usual weakness order is still here in Network Transmission. Fire element is strong against wood element is strong against Elec element is strong against water element is strong against fire element. I also grabbed some unlockers because those are always useful in these games. They just allow you to open up locked mystery data, and there's usually going to be 1 per stage moving forward, sometimes 2 or 3. Although, our first visit here to the Waterworks is going to be kind of short for reasons. This is the 2nd time we've been here. The last time, World 3 stopped the water supply as part of their plot. Yeah, they threatened the Waterworks technical consultant Freud. They made him use his Navi Iceman to stop the water. This reminds me of that time, somehow. Really? Well, anyway, we better find the computer's problem fast. I don't want to miss dinner, you know? Let's go, Mega Man. So, the reason this first visit's going to be kind of short, and the reason there's going to be multiple visits at all, is because of the first or second enemy we run into here. They are these flying penguin enemies that function the same as the fishies. I want their battle chip, and I want to max out its uses immediately, because you can just slide left and right very quickly to get this one to respawn. Why? Their double chip is one of the best ones in the game for movement, double jump. Use this in the air to jump even higher. So you can have up to 10 of those chips, and if you use them after your initial jump, that means you can have up to 11 consecutive jumps. There are several platforms in the game that require this to access them, essentially. But also, it's good to have on as a regular chip for saving yourself from bottomless pits. In fact, this is going to be the chip I map onto a regular chip once I get enough regular memory to do so, which I don't think I do right now, but I will by the end of this set of stages. So, let's get that into our folder. But also, now that we have it, we're gonna take a moment to go back through the main net and use the double jumps where we can to access some items we can grab right now. This is one of the most key battle chips in the game. Make sure you get it and max it out as soon as you can. I almost kind of wish there were more battle chips like it, even that upgraded Mega Man's network movement utility in some way, or at least give Mega Man some more permanent upgrades. Because I feel like he needs a couple more outside of just the HP, MP, and Buster power-ups. So we've been able to see the first locked mystery data in the game for a good while now. It's here in Den Area 2 just below us. In fact, I even interacted with it during our first trek through this in Part 1. But I didn't have the thing to grab it yet, so we're waiting until now to grab it. I think you can buy unlockers at the start of the game, so maybe if you just jack in and out of Den Area 1 and over again, you can have this before even finding Fireman. Which, hey, having an extra HP memory before that isn't the worst idea in the world, but that would take too long for my tastes at that point. Before we move over towards Den Area 3, there is one other blue mystery that we can grab here now that we have the double jump. And it's directly above me right now, because there's 2 little cabinets up in this section. We got 2 blue mystery data and the one on the left on, I think, our first or second trek through. But now we can jump up here, grab these extras any, be careful of the spikes, and find ourselves this blue mystery data, which contains a high cannon. High cannon is a much more powerful cannon. It's good to have that one now, but I don't recommend putting it in your folder until you have a couple of more high cannons ready to go. Because just having one of a battle chip that's not a Navi chip in your folder feels a little rough to me. So, Den Area 3, there's technically 2 things we can do with the double jump battle chip. But I'm going to save one of them for towards the end of the LP because there's something in specific that hints towards you being able to do that. The other thing, though, which is a blue mystery data, we are going to go out of our way to grab. There are 2 ways you can reach where we need to go for this one, though. You can either take the route I'm going, which is the way towards global area itself, and then just double jump up to the right towards where we fought Fireman. Or you can just go through the Fireman stage design again, and then just jump to the right. Either way, you need double jump, at least 2 or 3 of them even, to reach this reliably. This is why I recommend you just max out your count as soon as you can, because that first enemy is perfectly placed for it over in the Waterworks stage. So now I speed us up a little bit so we can get double jump into our folder, or at least into our selectable chips. That is where the annoying thing is without having that as a regular chip yet. You do actually have to search for it or wait for it at points. So we want to jump up here. This blue mission data is nice. It's Slasher. It's a very powerful sword type chip that I believe acts as a counterattack. But also there's this. I can hear some kind of weird voice on the other side of the security cube. Serene ones, you may not pass. Only those approved by all warrior souls shall open the gate of the god. What does that mean? Tune in toward the end of the LP to find out, because we can't access that until essentially right before the end of the game, no matter what. We're not done with the main internet yet. I'm now showing off that after you've beaten Gutsman, you can now use Dex's house as a shortcut jack-in point to get to Global Area 2 whenever you need to. This is good because it allows you quick access to Global Area 1 and the outer net faster than going through Mail's HP. I'm not going to be using this too much, though, because, again, towards the middle of the game, I still tend to use Den Area 1 as my entrance a lot, just to build up some extra Zenny for those very expensive HP memories and all that by the end of the game. But now that we have double jump, we can at least make our way up here to up this cyber ladder and grab some items. We can't get to Global Area 3. Once again, there's another security cube in our way. But at least we can come up here. Additionally, this isn't a bad place to grind for some fishy dash attack chips, because there's some up here. Also, a moment ago, you saw me using a charge shot a little bit. You can charge your shots the moment you put your charge stat up to 1 or above, similarly to Battle Network 2. But charging doesn't feel great to start because it takes forever to charge up. That's why you level up that charge stat so it can get really quick by the end of the game. Also, I was looking into it. Apparently, the Mega Buster in this game technically doesn't have a set damage value. Instead, because of how enemy HPs get higher and higher throughout, to make it reliable even by endgame, its power is dictated by the HP of the enemy, so it's sort of a ratio-based damage more than anything. And there's the level 4 security gate. We can't get past that for a good while in the game. Just keep that in mind for much later. Thus, our duty here in Global Area 2 is concluded. Our next goal is in the outer net, where we actually have seen the item I'm going to grab here using double jump already. It's a backup chip we saw on our first trip through here. You double jump to reach it. You just need to hope it shows up quickly. This is again why I recommend keeping an eye on your reg memory as you go through the game and get more reg ups and stages and from shops. And the moment you get enough to make double jump your regular chip, I believe it costs 24 memory to do that, do so, because having quick access to that no matter what is always useful. And if memory serves, that chip will stay there even if you've selected it, so you'll get double jump plus the 5 new chips you selected, and it helps you realign your weaponry for any instance while also having access to double jump. Plus, it'll mean I'll have fewer times I have to just wait for it to show up in level design. Even though I will still have to wait several times for certain setups before boss fights. There's that purple mystery data right there, but we can't get that until near the end of the game, so pay it no mind. For now, let's jack out, and it's finally time for us to head back to the Waterworks and take care of that stage proper. But first, before we go into it and get our ass handed to us by certain enemies, I recommend at this point, if you have over 2,500 Zenny, going over to Higsby's shop and buying the Aqua Armor. Like he mentioned after doing the Fireman scenario. After doing that, he then gets in the later 3 Elemental Armors for you to purchase at any time. Wood Armor, Aqua Armor, and Elect Armor, they each reduce that element's damage by half, and since by and large, there's very few stages in the game that actually have multiple elements of enemies, sticking with one for a given stage is pretty universally safe. If anything, though, it's more useful for boss fights, because then it makes their potentially ridiculous damage, digestible, especially at the health you might have at this point in the game. With that said, this is where this game starts to get a little bit easier to digest, I feel, because not only are you starting to get some better chips and defenses going and all of that on top of better offense, when the game goes a lot more stage-based, like it's going to be for more or less the remainder of it, barring some moments here and there, I find it's a lot more fun and much easier to get into. So if you're having trouble with the game at the start and you're not feeling it, give it until at least after Gutsman and see if you like some of the stages around there, because I think it's much easier to get into. It's also easier on a completionist angle moving forward because we're going to have a lot of instances where 2 to 3 viruses in any given virus chain are in one stage. So if you're looking for, say, a bubbler or any of its later variations, you're probably going to be coming to this stage, let alone the double needle chip I just got, which fires 2 needles forward. I am going to try to note, especially early on when I get a new battle chip I don't have yet, but later on in the LP I start making regular library look-throughs a thing, so you can tell when I've gained new chips through a part. But the big thing to note is what enemies are in every given map moving forward. For instance, in here we got the Pepes and the Crazy Razies, which are what had the double jumps. We got Shrimpy 1 and 3, so you can get Bubbler, Bub V, Bub Cross, and Bubble Spread from them. We got Cold Bears here who just fire ice blocks forward. They have the Ice Cube battle chip, and I'm not getting that for a hot minute. And we also got Shell Geeks and Shell Mans around here. They have Double Needle and Quad Needle, respectively. And there's Aqua Blade. That is an Aqua-type longsword that does a set, I believe, 100 damage or 90. Either way, very good to have around. In fact, using that with the Elect Blade I already have becomes one of my favorite program advances down the line once we get the third portion of that program advance. That's going to be a folder mainstay for more or less the rest of the LP. It's weird. In the mainline Battle Network games, I generally find the wide swords to be more useful than the long sword types, but here in Network Transmission, it's quite the opposite, and it's mostly the change in perspective that does that. Things that go further in front of you are much more useful in a platforming context, I find, than areas that aren't directly in front of you in the RPG grid-based context. That was our first gold Zenny. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 3 ranks of Zenny that give various amounts. I want to say it's that bronzes are 50, I think silvers are 100, and I want to say if they're not 150, golds are like 500 each. They're a bit harder to get at this point in the game because enemies just don't have the possibility to draw them unless there's something high ranked like a Shrimpy 3, but if you see one, make sure you grab it. Now things are looking a little more icy. Huh? Iceman? I'll coat everything in ice. It's no good, we lost him. Hey, you, Navi. You're from the center? Huh? Hello, Freud. Megaman, Lan, what are you doing here? Well, you see, never mind that. What's going on with Iceman? Well, this whole fuss is being caused by Iceman. He's on a rampage. Iceman 2? Freud, did you give Iceman the Zero Virus vaccine? Well, yes. Why? That vaccine contains a Navi hacking program. What? So that's it. Lan, most of the Waterworks Navis have been frozen by Iceman. Iceman's a powerful Navi, but you might have a shot at beating him, Mega Man. I know I have no right to ask you this, but Lan, please stop Iceman. Leave it to us. Ain't that right, Mega Man? You betcha. Let's go stop Iceman. Thank you, Lan. Please hurry, though. Iceman's in there. Alright, so now we're in Waterworks Comp 2, where things get sufficiently slippery. Whenever you see snow like this, that is what's actively a slippery slope, and you will actively have momentum even if you stop moving. It's not the worst to deal with, but be careful all the same. What's more notable about this area is that we got Yoku Blocks. Reappear and disappear that show up in the usual patterns. Though these aren't too bad. In fact, I think a lot of these patterns are outright lifted from Iceman stage in Mega Man 1. So if you know those, this shouldn't be too bad. Plus, I think they go at such a good rate here that it's not overwhelming on a first playthrough compared to some other Yoku Block sections in the series. Although, if you grinded for double jump like I did, you could just wait until it shows up in your custom screen and then use that to completely ignore this section, which, honestly, I would recommend on a first run. Also, just in case you don't like these kinds of platforming to begin with. So here in Waterworks Comp 2, in terms of new enemies we got, the big thing is Shrimpy 2s and Shell Nerds are here. Shell Nerds are the second variant of Shell Geek rather than the third. Shrimpy 2s have Bubble V and Bubble Cross chips they can drop. I especially recommend Bubble Cross because that's got a large area effect and can hit through shields in some cases. Whereas the Shell Nerds Triple Needle, I only regularly recommend grabbing if you want it for completion or for all the program advances, because there is still the Needles program advance in this one. There's a security cube to our right, so we need to come here into Waterworks Comp 3 in order to actually get anything else done. And in here, we actually got some puffies. These guys drop the Bubble Spread battle chip, which is just a huge water explosion that does some decent damage, but I don't think you can hold a lot of them. I don't think I get their battle chip for a good while, though. In fact, if anything, I think I might get it from a later Shrimpy virus more so than one of them. And here we got Big Puffy. Every now and again, Network Transmission will actively use a new virus variant or create a new one entirely to actually have a unique mini-boss for a stage, and I honestly like these a lot in concept, more so than execution. The way Big Puffy works, you shoot it as it moves and bounces around the area like a DVD logo, and it splits into 4. It then does that 2 or 3 more times per split to the point where they just get absurdly tiny. Notably though, when you get to their smallest form, the mini puppies, they actually do drop battle chips, namely Bubbler and Bubble V. This fight can take a while because they, even in their smallest incarnations, have a lot of HP. So just to make this go a little faster, we're gonna start speeding this up. This is where my more boss fight oriented focus for my chip building and folder building comes a little short. What I would recommend on a first playthrough when you come here is actively make sure you stock up on as many electric battle chips as you can get up to now, especially the Zappering line from the Bunny ones over in Den Area 1 and 2, because that extra electricity damage can go a long way. Also, since I don't think I talked about it, your MP bar does, like, drain with every time you use a battle chip of any type, and various chips of various powers have varying amounts that they'll drain. But no matter what, you're not out of luck. Your MP is always regenerating, and I want to say I'm right about this. I think the MP gauge regenerates at the same rate no matter what, so even if you have a maxed out gauge at the end of the game, it takes the same amount of time to charge as the beginning of the game amount. I haven't actually looked at the math for that in the timer, but I want to say that feels right for how long it takes, just in general. Though notably, there are a unique variant of sub-chip for Network Transmission in specific that immediately fills your MP gauge. Similarly, Fast Custom and Full Cust are there. I just don't tend to use those until certain fights near endgame just to help get through my folder a little more quickly. Alright, right now we have another program advance we can show off, and it's a returning one from BN1 and 2. Guard, Dash Attack, and Gutsman in that order gives you Gut Shoot, where Gutsman picks you up and throws you. There's one caveat to it in this game that's not in the other games, but we'll talk more about that at the boss fight. Something I could also recommend on our first playthrough if you're trying to be just super safe and worried about boss fights. There's nothing stopping you from going through a stage a couple times to get more chips and Zenny, or even just visiting every stage to get as many battle chips as you can and as many power-ups as you can from their mystery data, and then going to fight all the bosses in a row? Like, yeah, that's a lot more playthroughs of the stage, but that means you can have more power for the things that you're potentially worried about. I don't think I've ever played the game like that, but it's not inherently a bad idea given how this game wants you to take your time a little more than your average Mega Man game because of the folder chip layout and all that on the platformer side at least. Obviously, Battle.network's all about going fast and doing as much damage as possible in a short time frame. I already have what I want, so let's go fight Iceman. Freeze! Everything must freeze! There he is! Iceman! Mega Man, damage Iceman to make him stop. Okay, Freud? Yes, please do it. Alright, let's go. Mega Man, battle routine set. Execute. You will know the might of Gut Shoot. Oh god, he's too short! So the problem I brought up a couple times with the Shell Geeks and the Ratons about height also applies to some program advances, so be careful. So I have Elect Blade, so Iceman's gonna die pretty quickly, but he's not too bad. His main attacks are breathing ice at you while running across the screen, or throwing his ice bombs in the air, which will then land down at certain points around him. It's a little hard to judge because the hitbox and animation looks a little janky, but it's not the hardest to avoid. Otherwise, he's got his Mega Man 1 Ice Slasher, which doesn't go too far, so if you stay just far enough away, he's not a problem at all. With that said, for beating him that quickly, we got his Ice Slasher Battle Chip, which is one of my favorites in the game. What did I do? Is he back to normal? Freud, you should have control of your PET back temporarily. Jack out now and turn off your PET. Okay, Iceman, jack out now. Yes, sir. How is it, Freud? I'm verifying the status now. Huh, great. The computer's operating normally again. The water will flow as it should now. Thank you, Lan. Woo! And there's still time to get home for dinner, too! It always comes down to the food with you, doesn't it, Lan? Well, I am a growing boy, you know. Alright, Mega Man, jack out. Gotcha. The stingers might actually have a purpose here, by the way. I'll get more into that down the line. Lan, you've got email. Indeed, every time you finish a stage, you do get a thank you email from whoever sent you in. What's in Cyberworld? Various data is hidden in Cyberworlds, especially in the net. Recently, there have been reports of mysterious 8-character codes being found, but as of now, no one can say what these codes might mean. We'll cover what those mean down the line. Lan, thank you. With your help, we were able to repair the Waterworks. This must have been the work of a Navi hacking program or some undernet criminal. That reminds me, I found a mysterious source file in the data graveyard near the entrance to the undernet. What could that be? Keep that in mind for way later, because that's super important. For now, it's time for me, for one thing, to put the Ice Slasher into my folder, I believe, because I really do like this. 100 damage, and it goes pretty quickly. You can only carry up to 5, but 500 damage is more HP than most viruses have, let alone on certain fire element bosses, that's enough to kill them, no problem. So, let's head on over and fight Iceman to get his actual battle chip, even though I'm not the biggest fan of this one, honestly. Something I should note, by the way, net battle simulator fights are inherently a little harder than their variations on the net or in stages. Not because they do more damage or anything, but because in the storyline version of any boss fight, you can plan ahead your battle chips and just wait outside the boss gate until you get whatever you need and then do as much damage as you can, as fast as you can, in the story fights. For the simulator, you only get to choose chips at the start of the fight itself, so you're a little more limited to the whims of luck in that regard. Using full custom or fast custom sub-chips can help that a little bit, but it only goes so far. With that said, you get to see why I love Dash Attack so much as a battle chip, because it's guaranteed invincibility, and 90 damage goes a long way in a lot of these fights. So for beating him that quickly, we got Iceman's battle chip, which is his Ice Bomb attack. He spawns where you are and throws, I think, 6 bombs, 3 to the left, 3 to the right, at various arcs that will then hit the ground and strike icicles upwards. It's a little awkward to hit with, but it does okay damage, I guess. Not my favorite Navi chip, probably my least favorite in this game on the whole, honestly. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 5, now that we've taken care of Iceman and have double jump, we're going to go investigate some more of the situations going around before seeing what happens next. See you guys then.